Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you can guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a woman discussing phone services with a salesman. You have 30 seconds to read questions 1 to 6.
Good morning. May I help you, ma'am?
I'm reading one of your brochures on wireless services since I'd like to get the internet at home. I wonder if you could tell me about some different deals.
Certainly.
First of all, do you have any packages that are wireless and mobile phone combined?
I'm afraid we don't.
That's a pity.
You may like to know that from next week we're starting a deal whereby anyone who signs a phone contract for 18 months gets a brand new smartphone. That way, the internet is with you all the time on your phone and not just at home on your computer. How does that sound?
I'm sure lots of people will jump at it, but I don't want the internet with me all the time. I don't need a fancy phone. I need to be contactable for work. I'm a post-grad student, and I support myself with relief teaching. I need to send a few texts and make a couple of calls a day, but that's all. A basic phone and prepaid monthly vouchers suit me.
As you please.
Also, my friend bought a smartphone recently, dropped it and shattered the glass screen. To get the screen replaced, she's going to spend $300. Well, $300 is almost my annual phone budget.
Yes, you do have to be careful with smartphones. However, for just a few dollars a week, we also offer insurance against damage or theft. That might be worth considering.
Thank you for the offer, but I'm sticking to my cheap phone that I've dropped a dozen times but still keeps working.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have 30 seconds to read questions 7 to 10.
Let's get back to wireless services at home. I've brought my laptop and I'd like to see if your modems are compatible.
We've got a comprehensive range of modems, so I'm sure we'll find something. What operating system do you have?
OS X 12.5. I'll just check that. Sorry, it's OS X 12.9.
Yes, several of our modems will work with that.
If I choose a deal now, is there any chance I can get my computer set up right away?
Absolutely. You can be online in 15 minutes.
Really? I know I said I didn't want a long-term plan for my phone, but for wireless, your 24-month plan looks the best.
I think it's excellent, ma'am. $80 a month for 10 gigabytes and a modem.
If I opt for this contract, what would you need from me now other than the cash?
Proof of identification, financial details, and an official letter with your address.
Pardon me?
Proof of ID, a bank statement, and a letter like a gas bill or a payslip sent to where you live.
I'll see what I've got in my purse. Here's my student card. I do online banking now, so no statements. Here's an electricity bill I paid yesterday.
I'm sorry to say, Ma'am, but those things aren't enough. You can't sign a long contract without showing your passport or driver's license and something from your bank. Have you thought about the prepaid 1-month internet deal similar to the one you already have for your phone?
According to your brochure, it's a lot dearer. About 50% dearer than the 2-year contract.
Yes, prepaid is always more expensive, but it has fewer obligations.
What do you mean?
Well, on the 24-month plan, there's also a $200 cancellation fee if you end the service by leaving the country permanently.
Goodness, I had no idea such things existed.
I'm afraid so.
How about 1-year contracts? I couldn't see any 1-year contracts advertised. Do you have them?
They've just been discontinued. There wasn't enough demand, but a 6-month prepaid is possible.
Do I need lots of ID for that?
No.
What about the modem? Is it still included?
With prepaid, customers supply their own modems. I do, however, have one here for only $110.
110? I think I'll need some time to think things over.
Not a problem.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a man being interviewed about running a small business. Before you listen, you have 30 seconds to read questions 11 to 15.
Let's welcome John Lim, owner of Small Business Training, to today's show.
Nice to join you.
First of all, I've heard you've got triplets, John, as well as a growing business.
That's right, 2 boys and a girl. They're 6 years old. I tell people running a business is like looking after children. Apart from being flexible and expecting the unexpected, you need clear priorities and excellent time management. In a way, I owe my business success to my children. Like so many young families who struggle with the high cost of living, we couldn't afford to stay in the city any longer, so we moved to Casterbridge, which, at the time, met all our requirements. It was really flourishing, particularly because its cleaner industries like light engineering and servicing were replacing agriculture and mining. So it seemed a desirable place for people to set up small businesses.
What's it like now?
Unfortunately, the last 3 years have been pretty tough due to the downturn in the economy. 1/3 of the new companies in Casterbridge have gone bust. Still, the national figure for the failure of small businesses within 2 years of establishment is around 40%. So maybe 1/3 isn't too bad.
40%? Why so high?
Let's consider success for a moment. To be successful in a small business, you need to know your customers. Who's going to want your product? You need to lower expenses, not by putting off staff, but rather by cutting out unnecessary luxuries. And most importantly, you need to tailor your product to a niche market. In the case of my company, I had a good product, training. Initially, we provided basic accounting training for non-accountants. Later, we provided business management skills seminars. For a company to stay alive, it needs a good product, followed by another good product.
You diversified, right?
Yes, I did. After providing overall management skills techniques, I moved into the more specialised area of time management. I gave workshops on how to manage time to businesses in Casterbridge and surrounding areas. You see, even if a company has capital, the money to get it up and running, many business people don't manage their time well or plan well. Time management is easy if you stick to the rules, which are schedule large and small tasks, keep to your time limits, keep focused, learn to delegate, set goals and learn to rest. That 40% failure rate I mentioned earlier is mostly the result of poor planning.
I see.
To be successful, you've got to operate on two levels. First, you need a 5-year plan, where your business is headed and what its core activities are. And second, you need a day-by-day plan, a list of daily tasks in order of importance.
Before you listen to the rest of the interview, you have 30 seconds to read questions 16 to 20.
When I spoke to you before the show, you said you were branching out once again.
That's right. I've recently sold the management and training parts of my business, and now I'm into research and counselling. In fact, I've just completed a major survey on working from home for the government.
Working from home is my dream.
Really? Wait till you hear the statistics. 6 out of 10 respondents to our survey said their efficiency was lower at home than in an office. 5 out of 10 people we surveyed worked many more hours each week than they would in a conventional office. It's all too easy to check your emails after dinner rather than scheduling them into acceptable working hours. And 4 out of 10 people in our survey suffered from loneliness.
Loneliness?
Perhaps they miss the office gossip or haven't got a pet to talk to. Seriously though, many of us need to socialise because, on the whole, humans are gregarious creatures.
Tell me about your counselling work.
I'm helping people who've gone bankrupt. As you probably know, this is a dreadful experience, both financially and emotionally. It's one time when you really do need a good accountant so you can come out with something.
Indeed.
Also, here's a tip. It may sound odd, but if your business does go bankrupt, take a holiday. Have a week in Bali. Or if you can't afford that, head off to a lake, a beach, or a national park. And then shrug your shoulders and go on. Life goes on.
Yes, it does. Many thanks for your insights, John.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear 2 students talking to their professor about the Science and Technology Festival they attended.
First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
Hi, Dylan. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for coming to see me. I'm very interested to hear what you thought about the Science and Technology Festival.
Well, we're both very pleased we went.
Glad to hear it. Was there anything you both found especially useful?
Yes, definitely. I saw at least 2 lectures that directly relate to the subjects I'm studying in this first semester. I already feel a little more prepared than I did last week.
There wasn't anything that had the same effect on me, but that wasn't my only focus. I saw the festival as a chance to explore new ideas and other subject areas, so I also tried to attend some lectures that looked interesting rather than just the ones I thought would only be relevant to my course.
I'm glad I didn't do that. I get too stressed when I don't concentrate on one thing. But wasn't it great to be able to wander around the university and get a better idea of where everything is?
Well, I certainly feel more confident now I've explored the area a bit more. And I also found it very easy to meet people who share the same interests as me. When I was waiting for some of the lectures to start, I just got talking to whoever was sitting next to me.
I was too busy going through my notes to do that. I have to say, going to so many lectures in a short space of time has really helped me to improve one area of study, my note-taking technique.
I wasn't so sure about that originally, but looking at my notes again this morning, I could see how they got better as the week went on.
I'm glad the week was of use to you. It seems to change focus annually. Sometimes the emphasis is more on science, sometimes on technology, but there was an excellent balance this time. It really brings these areas of study and research to the attention of the wider world, and, for me, that's the primary reason the festival exists. You may have noticed when you were there that there were a number of university information stands set up around the campus. Did you see the free reference booklets that they were giving out?
No, I assumed the stands were there to provide people with directions to each talk.
Well, their aim was to encourage everyone to read some of the latest studies coming out of our labs and classrooms. Many of the lecturers at the festival actually wrote the studies that were listed. So the talk and the booklets together are a great introduction to their work for anyone who attended. But the staff were certainly happy to point people in the right direction if it was needed.
I have to admit it was quite confusing trying to follow some of the signs around the campus telling us where to go. So we used the map and the festival guidebook to find our way around. It was great for that. And although 1 or 2 of the talks actually started at different times to what was printed on the page, one other thing I did like about the guidebook was that it wasn't full of adverts.
Oh, I agree. But that's always the case with festivals now. I don't mind that if it means that the festival is free to enter, as more and more of them are these days. And even if there is a fee for admission, the festival organisers hardly make any money from that, though they do tend to put the price of entry up each year. They have to make money to run the festival somehow, so it makes sense to get the majority of that through ads.
That's a fair point.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30.
So what next? Do you still want to write something for the department website?
Oh, definitely. Can you give us some advice on how we do that?
Well, it's a simple process, but it can mean a lot of work. First, you need to make sure that you have fully discussed and compiled the notes you made during the festival. For the next step, I would recommend selecting a set number of principal theories that generate the most ideas and summarise those. 4 is probably the ideal number. Then you'll need to go to the website and go through what people have written before. These posts will help you to understand which style seems most appropriate, how academic in tone you need to be, or how informal, and so on. And as this is going to be a joint project, it's really important to make sure that you both come to a joint decision about the best way to divide up the workload. Believe me, arguments can happen. Further to that, You should also agree on exactly when you're aiming to publish it, so establish a deadline. Make sure you don't go past the agreed date, as it will become more difficult to finish if you do. Then, after all this is completed, you're ready to upload your summary and any other documents and post them onto the department website.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Professor Dickens. Hopefully we can come back to you if we need any more help.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear part of a lecture about the history of locks. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back as we continue our lecture series on currency from ancient times to the modern day. For today's talk, we're going to discuss a need that emerged from an age-old negative side to human nature. When wealth is portable, particularly when it can be easily compressed into thousands of individual items of coinage, it inevitably becomes more attractive to a certain group of people. Even in ancient times, the wealthy, people of status, traders and so on, realised that to discourage thieves, their money would need to be either hidden or protected, and to do that they had a choice. They could either keep their riches safe by keeping them in temples, which were guarded 24 hours a day, or they could find a way to store their assets somewhere closer to home, where access was more convenient. And so the ancient Egyptians came up with a locking device. This was a mechanism similar to what is known today as a deadbolt that required the insertion of a key. The key operated a series of pins and allowed a long metal bolt to be withdrawn from its locking position, which in turn gave the owner access to their valuables. How long ago did this happen? We're a little vague on this, but definitely at some point later than 4000 BC. Since the Egyptians wanted their locks to be very strong, these locks suffered from one notable problem: their size. Some of the bigger examples we have found are over half a metre long and weigh around 30 kilos. The Romans later adapted these Egyptian locks to make them more functional and available for use in regular homes. They took the Egyptians' designs, made them smaller, and added their own inspired invention, one that enabled them to create a more sophisticated locking system: steel springs. One negative side effect they did suffer from was that by using a spring instead of a bolt, it was relatively easy for a particularly dedicated and powerful thief to damage or remove the lock using brute force. However, the Roman locking mechanisms made it difficult to actually force the lock open, thanks to their precise construction. For their time, it's hard not to be impressed by such technology. The examples we have talked about so far are key-based locks, but next I'd like to look at a variation on this, the combination lock. The combination lock is the basis of many modern safes. As we will see, the combination lock shares many features of those used by the Egyptians and Romans. For the purposes of this explanation, I'll begin by looking at a combination padlock, which is easy to grasp. One of the most important aspects of any locking system is protecting the lock itself. In the case of the padlock, there's a secure outer casing to protect the delicate lock mechanism inside. This casing is usually constructed from a hard metal such as brass. Having this strong outer casing prevents a potential thief from simply breaking the padlock with a tool such as a hammer. The main movable part of the lock, the part which opens and closes, is a strong bar often made of reinforced or galvanized steel. As you can see, the bar is curved, almost U-shaped, but much longer on one side. At the end of this longer side is a metal spring which is pushed down when the padlock is locked. So how is a combination lock unlocked? The metal bar has 4 pins on it, which prevent it from being opened. However, each of the pins can be released by moving a combination dial. These are circular and numbered from 0 to 9. Move all the dials into the correct position and the spring is released, forcing the lock to open. Now, that is a very simple combination lock. The lock of a safe, on the other hand...
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.